Hi, this is Joe Chambers. Welcome to Musicians Hall of Fame Backstage from the Vault series. This is a series of interviews we did starting back in 2004, 2 years before the Musicians Hall of Fame opened to the public. We hope you enjoy it, and if you do, please remember to hit like, subscribe, and the notification bell so you don't miss any of our new shows. Hope you enjoyed today's video with former guitarist from the Eagles, Don Felder.
When I was in the band Flow in New York, we were a jazz fusion rock band. And if you listen to jazz players, they never play the same solo twice. They just throw themselves out there and they improvise. And they have the dexterity and the talent to be able to just play whatever they're thinking, which I admired immensely. It's what attracted me to go to New York, was I wanted to be able to develop that skill. And so being able to improvise to me was really a really great talent to develop. When you sit down to write something, instead of trying to conceptualize exactly what it should be and fit in some form or mold or preconceived idea, I'll just turn on a tape machine or my iPhone or something and just start playing and just let that improvising idea come out. And I'll go, wait, that was pretty good. And I'll go back and play that 3 or 4 times and record it a bunch and file it away. If I got my iPhone out now, I could play you some ideas I just recently recorded the same way. For Hotel California, I was just sitting on a sofa in a living room in a rented house and playing this guitar, and out came that progression, and I played it 3 or 4 times. I said, well, I have to save this or it's going to go away. So I ran back into my little 1-year-old daughter's bedroom, which during the time she was awake was my recording studio for demos. And I just turned on the machine and recorded some of just the 12-string part over and over and over, and then I turned it off and went away. And when we started putting together the Hotel California record, I went back in and started listening to a bunch of those little pieces and ideas, and I said, well, that's kind of interesting. Let me finish this. So I got an old drum machine and programmed it to like a cha-cha beat or something, and then I replayed the acoustic and played the bass part, and most of the guitar parts that you hear on the record I'd kind of overdubbed on this tape recorder and put it on a cassette with maybe 15 or 16 other ideas, one of them which became Victim of Love in that same batch of just writing ideas, and gave it to Don Henley and Glenn Frey and said, if there's anything on this tape you hear, let's finish writing it, you know? And so Henley called me up and said, I really like that song that sounds kind of like a Mexican reggae. And I went, oh, I think I know which one that is. And so we started working on it. He started working on the lyrics with Glenn. And I started trying to conceptualize how Joe and I, who had just joined the band, could do that guitar dueling thing on the end of the song, because Joe and I had been doing that together live during Joe Walsh shows that I was just out jamming with Joe because I loved to play with him before he joined the band. I wanted to be able to do that on an Eagles record, so I sat down and started trying to figure out. As a matter of fact, the original demo that I still have has a great deal of what I just made up on that demo that sounds very much like the very ending of the solos on Hotel California. So it's just that the way of writing it just kind of comes out of you. And usually my first 2 or 3 shots at something, that spontaneity and enthusiasm and creative energy, are usually the best. When you go over and over and over and try to perfect it, it sort of squishes it into like less excitement, and more things that are really perfect to me aren't exciting. You know, I like the energy. I wanted to try to capture some of that on the Eagles record, so a lot of my writing was aimed in that direction of adding that to the band. And that's how I wrote. So that's how I write today. That opening riff on Hotel California solo was the same riff identically that I had made up on that demo tape in my daughter's back bedroom. When we finally got to the point where we were going to do those live guitar overdubs between Joe and I in the studio, I always thought Joe and I would set up a couple of stools. He and I would sit there, we'd plug into a couple of amps, roll the tape, and we'd do what we've been doing against each other on Joe Walsh shows to just capture that kind of, you know, pushing each other to play something better than what you just played. And that's what we started off doing. And then Don Henley came in the control room and said, no, stop, what are you doing? And I went, well, we're playing the guitar parts for me. He says, no, that's not right. You have to play it like the demo. I said, I don't even know what that was, to tell you the truth. That was a year and a half ago. So I had to call my home, have my housekeeper go through my cassettes, find the original cassette, put it in a blaster, play it, and hold the phone up to the blaster. We recorded it in the studio in Miami, and I had to sit down and learn something I just made up off the top of my head for that demo. And it was just, like I said, usually my first or second shot. Just letting something come out is the best. And Don was right to be able to make me go back and do that. I guess he had heard it over and over and over so many times, he expected that opening lick and that first solos and stuff to be that way on the record. Yeah, before I leave, I will play you that original demo. I've got it on my laptop, so you can hear that opening line. Well, we recorded it 3 times. The first time we recorded it too slow. It was either too fast or too slow. And so we went back in and re-recorded the basic track, not all the vocals and overdubs and everything, basic track. And then Don went out to sing the lyrics on it that he and Glenn had been writing, and it was in the wrong key. He was singing really high, like a Barry Gibb falsetto, and I went, no, that's not right. We have to change keys. So we went out and figured out what key it should be in, which was like 2.5 steps below where it was originally. And because I wrote it in E minor, which was a good guitar key to play in, right? And so we wound up moving it down to B minor, which is not a fun, friendly guitar key, But anyway, that's where Don's vocal really set best his range. So that's where we re-recorded the whole thing for the 3rd time and finally redid all the guitar parts and everything else to finish it. And when it was done, I remember sitting in the record plant in LA, and we had this big playback party because the record company had been banging on the door. We need this album. We want to put this album out, And so we had a playback party and had a 2-track of, kind of like the sequence of the album. And when the Hotel California cut came by, Don turned around and went, "Yep, that's going to be our single." And I went, "Don, that's the wrong song. AM radio, you wanted to have something 3 minutes to 3 minutes and 30 seconds. The introduction before the singer started couldn't be more than 30 seconds, so the DJ didn't have to sit and talk for a long time. And, it had to be either a rock tempo or a drippy ballad or something to get on the radio, It had a specific format. I said, I just think that's the wrong format for a single. He says, nope, that's going to be our single. And I went, okay, but I told you, and I've never been so happy to have been so wrong about my opinion of that as I am today, because he was right again, I have to say.